Warning, your government is imploding before your eyes. Stay calm and make your way to the nearest conspiracy theorist for further directions. Amazon removes anti-vaccine documentaries, but then releases documentary sympathising with paedophiles. Paedophile. Understanding the mental disorder. I wouldn't disagree that it's a mental disorder, but they all need locking up for the rest of their lives. As you can see, this soldier there, or many soldiers if you like, I challenge you to read this and not have the will to pass it on. Why has no one been able to explain to me why the young men and women served the British, Canadian, Australian and US military for 20 years, risking their lives, protecting freedom, and only get up to 50% of their pay on retirement, while politicians hold their political positions in the safe confines of all our nation's capitals, protected by those same men and women, and receive full pay retirement after serving one term? It just does not make any sense. In the UK, some soldiers and their families come home only to be put onto the streets, homeless, whilst immigrants and asylum seekers who have done nothing for our countries are treated to free housing, medical care and benefits of every description. If every person who receives this will forward it to up to 20 people in these days, most people here in the UK, Canada, the United States and Australia will have the message. This is one proposal and really should be passed around. Your desire for freedom will never die, so please have the will to allow our retired soldiers to live out their lives in peace, comfort and a little happiness. I will be one of the 1% that will pass it on. Will you? If you are one of the 99% who choose not to pass it on, you still have made a choice, and these brave soldiers have given you that right. Share the video. Grandma, why is marijuana illegal? Well, grandson, legalising the cannabis plant could free us from oil dependency, stop deforestation, become a safe alternative to many pharmaceuticals, and would cause prisons to shut down. Now do you understand? No, but I comprehend. Memo to corporate journalists. The government is already underfunding the NHS by $9 billion a year. So when Boris Johnson offers $1.8 billion of additional funding, the headline should read, Johnson to underfund NHS by $7 billion a year, not Boris pumps $1.8 billion into struggling NHS. Now that's more like a true title, isn't it? Being opposed to Netanyahu and the occupation is not the same as being anti-Semitic. Ilham Omar. Police officer found drunk in car is cleared of driving offence. You see, if you're a cop, you can be totally shit-faced and you just wave your badge and you get found not guilty. A police officer who was found intoxicated in her husband's car has been acquitted of drink driving offence. Now, can you imagine that anyone else would be acquitted in a car, pissed out your face, unconscious? You're in charge of the car. According to their own rules and regulations, therefore you should be done for drink driving. And yet they're not, because it's one rule for them, so that they know they can break any law they like, including murder, as we've seen so many times. Natalie Hope, 37, a Hoyling Lithwaite, was found slumped in her husband's grey Skoda by police around a mile and a half from her home at around 9:20 on April 4th. Kirklees Magistrates Court heard today she had drunk around 3/4 of a bottle of gin and was 3 times over the drink drive limit. Mrs. Hope pleaded not guilty to being drunk in charge of a motor vehicle, and after a trial at the Huddersfield court she was found not guilty of the offence when magistrates said they believe she did not intend to drive the vehicle. But if you'd have said that, well, no, I don't believe you. But because it's a cop, you see, oh, well, they must tell the truth, because they always tell the truth apart from when the lips are moving, because then they'll be lying. Prosecutor James Holding said the defendant had been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, depression and anxiety after she underwent some harrowing experience in her 18 years as a police family liaison officer supporting bereaved families. The court heard that Greater Manchester Police GMP officer had also been upset over the sudden death of her dog. Giving evidence, her husband, Detective Constable Anthony Hope, said his wife had left their home at around 5:45 following a visit from an estate agent. The court heard she took her husband's car and drove to Aldi in Slaithwaite, where she bought a bottle of gin and 4 cans of lager. You see, we all know all that was total lies to get her off, but because she's a cop, she gets off. Anyone else? No. UK mass surveillance programme violates human rights, European Court rules. The UK government's mass surveillance programme violates human rights and has had no real safeguards, the European Court of Human Rights has said in a landmark ruling. The Strasbourg Court has said British intelligence agencies' interception regime violated the right of private and family life since there was insufficient oversight over which communications were chosen for examination. Not enough protection was given to journalist sources by the government's mass information collection programme, violating the right to freedom of expression, it also said. But the court ruled that sharing the information with foreign governments did not violate either the right to a private and family life or free speech. So basically they can get the information, give it to other foreign powers, they can then share it back to them. It's okay then. The case brought by a group of charities including human rights group Big Brother Watch and Amnesty International centred on complaints about powers given to security services under the regulations of the Investigative Powers Act 2000, RIPA. It is the first major challenge to the legality of UK's bulk collection of communications and follows revelations that both the US and British governments were gathering communications on a population level. Former Central Intelligence Agent, CIA whistleblower Edward Snowden, is still living in exile in Russia after leaking the information. Although the UK government replaced the contested RIPA powers with the Investigatory Powers Act, IPA, in November 2016, campaigners said the judgment would provoke questions about the spying capabilities granted by the more recent legislation. See, they watch us everywhere because they are terrified of us, and they should be, because we are going to destroy them and hold them to account. They threaten archaeologists that found giant skeletons. You're playing a dangerous game. According to legends, giants were creatures so big that the earth trembled when they walked. In the 1940s, a group of archaeologists were overseeing an excavation in Argedev, Romania, in search of valuable objects belonging to Dacian leader Burbista. Along the archaeologist was Ionita Flora, now an old man. He was the person who took out a huge skull 3 and even 4 times bigger than ours. When he noticed the archaeologist, when he notified the archaeologist about her discovery, he was immediately dismissed and researchers began to explore the place. By the end of the excavation, more than 80 giant skeletons were discovered. To this day, nobody really knows where the skeletons are. As a matter of fact, residents of Skyria discovered an ancient cemetery of giants when they wanted to plant an apple orchard. And of course, if you recall, a while back I pointed out that the Smithsonian had destroyed hundreds of giant skulls because it didn't fit with what we were told, history. All our history is a lie to control us. At least the Italian politicians seem to have some bollocks and see what's going on. Italy calls to eliminate central banks and jail bankers. Italian Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini declares prison time for fraudsters. Italy's Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini has called for the Italian central bank to be eliminated, declaring that the bankers involved in fraudulent activity will end up in prison for a long time. This move shortly follows Friday warning from Bank of America that predicts the greatest threat to EPS, i.e. markets, in the next 3 years is an acceleration of global populism via taxation, regulation and government intervention. All bankers should be in jail for the rest of their lives because they are nothing but utter criminals. True costs of Labour's pension tax raid and others since 70s. Gordon Brown's 10 billion a year pension grab from 97 among policy data showing 4 decades of tinkering by British Chancellor. A document published quietly last week shows that Labour's raid on pensions in 97 is now costs taxpayers nearly 10 billion a year, double the amount Gordon Brown had initially outlined. So he's a lying bastard, what a shock. The Treasury is able to, and he fiddles his expenses, is able to collect this money because Mr Brown abolished the tax relief pension funds earned on dividends from stock market investment. Why don't we just lock these crooked bastards up, because that's all they are. They're a useless bunch of inept crooks. Grenfell Tower fire. Death toll may have been covered up to prevent a riot, says David Lammy MP. David Lammy has argued the real number of people killed in the Grenfell Tower catastrophe may have been covered up to prevent riots. The official figure of those who either confirmed dead or missing and presumed dead remains at 79, but is expected to increase further. Metropolitan Police Commander Stuart Cundy has said that he hoped the final death toll does not reach terrible figures. The Labour MP for Tottenham, whose dead friend Khadij Say died in the fire, said that he was sympathetic to the theory that figures of fatalities were being concealed. What people say is that if you put the number out early, there could be civil unrest. That's why they say that he told BBC 2's Newsnight, he added, I am sympathetic to it. I'm going to walk alongside those people. Pressed about whether he thought the true figure of the dead had not been released due to fear of civil unrest, Mr Lammy said, the truth is the media cycle is now beginning to move on to other things. That's the truth. And so in other words, he didn't answer the question. And so what people say is that in 2-3 weeks time, if you start to reveal the numbers, things have moved on. Parents catch FBI in plot to force mentally ill son to be right-wing terrorist. We all know that they're all involved. The CIA, FBI, MI5, MI6 are all the real terrorists. The parents of a severely mentally disabled man are speaking out on how the FBI groomed him as right-wing terrorist, knowing he's paranoid schizophrenic. It's become a near weekly occurrence. Somewhere in some state, the FBI will announce that they've foiled yet another terrorist plot and saved lives. However, as the data shows, the majority of these cases involve psychologically diminished patsies who've been entirely groomed, armed and entrapped by the FBI agents. Simply put, the FBI manufactures terror threats and then takes credit for stopping them. Investigation unveils 850,000 golden goodbye scandal under Theresa May's premiership. Links in description if you want to read the rest, because it's just not very clear. Fluoride spills promotes emergency call out on Dunedin water plant. Now, what I want you to get from this, there's a video, and if you watch that video, to be dealing with fluoride that they put in the water that's okay for you to drink, they've got full hazmat suits on, but it's okay for you to put it into your body. Firefighters are in breathing apparatus and protective suits were hosed down after a fluoride spill at a water treatment plant. The incident happened at Dunedin's Mount Grand Water Treatment Station on Wednesday afternoon. Fire and Emergency New Zealand Dunedin Senior Fire Station Officers Chris Lind said the spill involved concentrated sodium fluorosilicate, essentially the fluoride that goes into drinking water, and they had full hazmat suits, but it's okay for you to drink it. Cop charged after visiting hospital to repeatedly rape a 7-year-old patient. Mountville, Ohio. Former Mountville Township of Ohio police officer and former Wayne County probation officer Carl Canberg was charged with raping a 7-year-old girl while she was a patient at University Hospital in February. According to the indictment cited by Cleveland 19, the former law enforcement officer is charged with committing an anal penetration and with inappropriate sexual conduct for sexual assaults, with Cleveland.com says occurred multiple times. Cuyahoga County grand jury charged Canberg with 2 counts of rape, 2 counts of gross sexual imposition and 2 counts of kidnapping. According to the indictment, 3 of the sexual assaults occurred at the hospital while his young victim wore a hospital gown, where Canberg was visiting another patient, and another incident happened prior to that at a separate but unnamed location. Joe Frolick, interesting name, spokesman for the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office, told Cleveland.com that Canberg was not working for University Hospital at the time of the sexual assault, but had been visiting another patient. Frolick added that hospital personnel helped report the incident to police. The Free Thought Project tried to contact officials. However, neither Frolick nor the appropriate officials with Wayne County could be reached for comment Saturday. They're for our protection. Yeah, they'll look after you. Might rape you a little bit and sodomise you, but they're there for our protection, aren't they? Smart meters count down to a national crisis of illness and death. Sickness of radio wave, and it tells you all there what all the problems associated with it are. It's a long article, but you seriously need to read it. Links in description. The Times. Met paid another police force $1 million to investigate abuse fantasist. Labour and SNP hint at pact to oust Johnson. Deal could lock Tories out of power, says Sturgeon. Give Seagulls a hard steer to save your chips. Express. Set up for life. Lotto winners 10k a month for 30 years. Well, sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? And it is a lot of money. So let's think, what does Corbyn get? Oh, £12,000 a month. There for us, look, for our benefit. You've got to be on the drug. 5 million at risk from pension scam. Boris tells EU, you must back down. How a very naughty pony made the Queen smile. Parasitical bitch. Aye. Smith versus Bradwell. Pension to 5 million savers in scam alert. When seagulls attack. EU open to new deal if PM drops red lines. I'll get into that in a bit. I wouldn't be who I am today if I'd delayed my menopause. Tories under pressure to adopt rules on race hate. Bake bread like an ancient Egyptian. Bake bread like an ancient Egyptian. Mouth to snout. Would you give your dog CPR? And back to the main thing. Irish Premier tells how talks can restart, but warns that agreement is highly unlikely before 31st of October. Varadkar insists Ireland is not prepared to renegotiate backstop. Gove blames EU for no new impasse. They're all working together for smoke and mirrors to kick it down the can down the road. That's what's going on here. They've got no intention of leaving. And don't believe a word that Johnson says, because all politicians, when their mouths are moving, they are lying to you. The Guardian. Tony Morris. Greater social inclusion vital to fight extremism, says counter-terrorism chief. Tiny creatures may have survived probe crash on moon. Yeah. Telegraph. Stifling rules on GP pensions to be relaxed. Ministers say that they will review controversial tax laws to clear NHS waiting times. Logjam. So they're going to change something that they changed in the first place, which caused the problem in the first place. Now they're going to change it back and say, look what we've done, how good we are. Muslims need to assimilate, says top officer. Back to Balmoral. Parasitical bitch. Yard agrees to publish damning beach report. Metro, he's set for life. Prem League clubs child abuse shame. Chelsea offers payout after chances missed to stop paedophile targeting young players. Gove, it's the EU who don't want new talks. TV Emma has a something or other, and yeah. Mirror, Colleen's home win. Lotto winner, I'll use cash to look after my autistic kid brother. Amazon worker gets 10k a month for 30 years. Unfortunately, he's only going to get about a year's of that, and then, well, maybe less. The system goes boom, all money gone. Star, gullible, steer down gulls to save your chips. Lottery lad, my amazing win. Workers 10,000 a month for 30 years. It's Rita Poir. Wow, what a waste of paper that is. Daily Fail. The pill, no, it's the menopause that really sets women free. As male campaigners on care costs, shock figures reveal true extent of crisis. Dementia is now the cause of 1 in 8 deaths because of the aluminium's in everything. You go to get a jacket potato, it's in aluminium. You go get a pack of crisps, it's in aluminium. You go get cat food, it's in aluminium. You go get anything, it's in aluminium foil, which is why we're all getting dementia. Coconut oil, of course, reverses it. England rugby star weds after dating for just 2 weeks. The scum. Top docs will help sick Tafida. The real reason Rue's coming home. News we've all been waiting for. Lose 10 pounds in just 4 weeks. Miracle flab jab. I don't think so. FT. US faces dollar conundrum. Tencent strikes new note with deal to buy into Universal Music. Treasury makes pension U-turn with review on tax tap crushing doctors. And finally, this is how we played online before the internet. I knew it was much more fun. Does it count as saving someone's life if you just refrain from killing them? I think that should definitely count. I just saved your life, I didn't kill you. Joke of the day. Do you have a condom? If not, I have one.